This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the Epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? I welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 275. As always, I'm in the booth. The reality is I'm actually still in the booth with my favorite brother, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave the Body Regina. Listen, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, we are fronting right now. We are acting like we left the booth and came back in, but really we're just continuing last week's conversation. So we're going to get into the final question from last week and then also an email that came in from a listener.
All right. Going through a bad split and 2 children are involved. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's who gets hurt. My ex is constantly attacking me now that I'm in a new relationship. I feel like I'm trying my best to keep things cordial, but he's making it very hard for me. Any tips are much appreciated.
Shout out to the ladies on this episode with their questions, huh? Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and it's one that I can certainly relate to because, you know, Callie has 2 healthy homes, which I'm super, super proud of. What I don't know, and I guess the context isn't there, I feel like when people fight after they split, it's typically because one person still wants to be with the other person, and there's a little like hate in their heart. I want us to really focus on what matters here, because like CV said in the beginning when he was reading the clip, 2 children are involved.
Yes.
So now, are we as adults going to focus on what the other person did or didn't do in the relationship? Or are we going to focus on what really matters, and that's the children? Now, I know everybody wants to focus on the children, but one thing I can't stand is when people badmouth their previous partners. It's something I don't tolerate in my own life when it comes to my boys. I don't do it. I specifically speak very highly of Callie's mom because she's a great mom. Whatever happened in the relationship, that's completely separate from the situation that's really at hand. But also it took a while for me to get there, right? I always had respect and I always treated Callie's mom with respect and I always spoke highly of Callie's mom to Callie. However, in my heart, at the beginning, I didn't always really, really feel that way. Right? But I made a conscious choice and decision that if my daughter is the priority here, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything looking out for my child. And if you guys can't communicate, then you guys are really doing yourselves and your children a disservice for their future. So it brings me back to just the other day where Callie's mom and her partner and their child are there at the baseball game with myself and Katie. And other people I can see, they're looking around, they're looking at us, and it's like almost not normal to other people to all be in the same spot. But I want to encourage people out there that should be the norm. You should be able to coexist with your ex of any kind, especially when your children are involved. So I think you guys really need to have a conversation on what the end goal looks like, right? What is the goal of you guys trying to raise your children? Because you cannot raise your children in two separate homes and not be on the same page. You don't have to be together, but you have to find a way to clearly communicate and address the issues, right? You guys are adults. Address the issues. Maybe he needs to tell you something that you need to hear. And maybe you need to tell him something that he needs to hear. Be willing to have the conversation and move forward, because I've seen unhealthy divorce in my own life, and it ruins people, right? I saw a lot of things growing up that I know my parents wish that they did differently. And I know a lot of people on the other side of this camera, on this microphone, can relate to that. We did not have, maybe our parents just didn't have the tools necessary at that time. They all, I believe, did the best that they can with what they know. But the fact is, now we know that we can do better. And once we know that we can do better, we have to make the changes.
Yeah, that's very well said. Because at the end of the day, this is the worst part. It's the only people that get hurt during these things are the kids. Nobody else.
But we're selfish.
We're very selfish, because if we understood that as being the number one thing, the number one priority, nothing else matters. Mm-hmm. Everything else, as adults, you have to learn how to figure it out and move on.
But we're always like, oh my God, this person did me dirty, or, I did this person dirty, and this person did this. But it's like, that's cool if you don't have children. The second now you have children, the priorities shift. And if you both want to coexist and co-parent, you got to find a way. Like, there's no formula for this besides really, and you know what? Maybe you might have to have this conversation with somebody else, right? Because that's something even in my life, with my experience with Callie's mom, towards the end, I always wanted a third party in there because we just weren't on the same page. And that's okay. You can disagree on things, right? But we did it in a very healthy, respectful way where, whether it was a therapist or somebody else that was just another voice to keep you accountable. I think that's important. And I think when relationships are broken, that's like the best thing that you can do. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but life is uncomfortable. And are you willing to sacrifice for your children?
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters, to be honest. So
yeah, we're there's heat today, bro. There's a lot of heavy questions.
It's a pretty intense. Pretty intense episode.
Good thing I had a double. Ooh.
Well, that is it for the hard hitting questions.
Okay. Now we are going to go into this email.
Ooh, I was not privy to the email.
No, it's fine. I just think it's a lot of words. You want to read it, or you want me to read it?
It's okay.
No?
You got it.
All right. This is in regards to fasting, which I think is a great topic, something that I need to do again, because some beautiful things came out of my last fast where I literally didn't eat for 5 days. So the email came in and said, "Hi, Dave. I hope all is well. My name is George, and I met you at my niece's birthday party at blah, blah, blah last November. And I've been kicking myself ever since for not engaging in conversation. I've listened to several episodes of the podcast, and I also ordered and read your book earlier this year. I think everything you're doing, especially with ACE, is absolutely fantastic, and I commend you for inspiring and uplifting others. It's super dope, man. I'm writing to ask about your 5-day fast and wondering if you ever did a deep dive on one of your podcast episodes about it. Like, how did you prep for the fast? Did you continue to work and exercise during the fast? How much water did you consume each day? And what foods did you eat to break your fast? And at what interval? Also, why did you do a 5-day fast instead of the seemingly more popular 3-day fast? And was there anything you learned during your fast that would be helpful for others interested in doing the same? I know you've got a lot going on, so no pressure to respond. Truly, admire what you're doing and hope to cross paths again someday. Best, George." Shout out to George.
By the way, here's a nice little example on how to approach.
Yes, great, phenomenal.
Yes.
You know, George, I can't believe you didn't say hello to me. I'm serious.
Yeah.
We were in the same place at this place that he mentioned with the birthday party, and he didn't say hello. So, hi, George. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate the conversation that you stirred up via email, and yeah, man, we got to be close in proximity. So the next time, definitely come up and say hello. I'd love to meet you, and thank you so much for writing in. So the 5-day fast, man, that was a journey. I really have to try to put myself back in that space. But for me, I was inspired by people around me doing fasts. My girlfriend, Katie, has done a ton of them and really speaks on the benefits, of what it does for her spiritually, mentally, in terms of discipline. So that sparked me to do a little bit more research on the process of autophagy. And autophagy is basically when our bodies clean out it's like cell rejuvenation. By you fasting and you not feeding these cells, the cancer cells that are in our body, because we all have cancer cells, it actually dies off. So that was the main health reason for me doing the fast. The second reason I wanted to do the fast was I wanted to get closer to God. I wanted to be closer spiritually because I felt this pull to do something. And as I was reading scripture, there's so much in the text that talks about fasting and how you should do it, because what it does is it's basically you in the flesh and you telling yourself, no, I can't do this, and then having to rely on something bigger than yourself. So those were the two primary goals. One, to get healthier, learn about the process of autophagy, and get closer spiritually. How did you prep for the fast? So I remember vividly writing out a prayer prior to doing the fast. And this was going to become the prayer that I did every time that I got hungry. I sat down, I wrote it on my phone, and it was something along the lines of, Dear Lord, first and foremost, I come to you to say thank you. I'm praying in this moment that you lift the urge of my hunger and that you allow me to rely on you. I don't remember it word for word, but that was something that I did prior to the fast to put myself in the headspace. Now, in terms of my refrigerator, I remember cleaning out all the stuff that were going to be triggers for me besides Callie's food. So I remember moving all her stuff off to the side and clearing out one portion of the refrigerator so that anytime I would go open the refrigerator, I wouldn't be triggered. And also, I read a little bit about it. So those were the things that I did to prep for the fast. Shout out to Boundless Nutrition, because if you're serious about your health, your performance, and your lifestyle, this place is a game changer. Boundless Nutrition is a hub for people who refuse to live average. We're talking ready-to-go healthy meals for busy professionals, sports performance supplements, vitamins you can trust, training gear, and the best protein shake bar around. So whether you're chasing strength, fat loss, endurance, or just trying to feel better day to day, they've got you covered. And let me say this, Amanda and the entire Boundless team are incredible, knowledgeable, welcoming, and genuinely invested in helping you win. If you're in Westchester County, New York, stop by 54 Washington Avenue in Pleasantville and experience it for yourself. You can tell them you're a friend of Dave's and find them on Instagram at Boundless Nutrition NY. Because at the end of the day, change your lifestyle, change your life. Now, back to the epic. It says, did you continue to work and exercise during the fast? No, George, I took 5 days off, bro. No. So yes, I continued to work, and yes, I continued to work out. Now, do I recommend to the level of what I was doing? Absolutely not, because I really didn't take my foot off the gas in terms of how I was working out. I was doing a lot of high intensity interval training with the kettlebells. And then also sitting in the sauna for 20 minutes. And I don't think that that's something that I really would recommend. And I'm not saying that to sound like a cool guy. I'm saying that because unless you're already working out like that, I don't think that that's something that you should be doing. I do think you should move your body. So I think you being able to get up and go for a walk is a little bit soothing. And I think it's healthy, but I wouldn't recommend working out the way that I did. How much water did you consume each day? I was well over 200 ounces of water every day. And just to put that in context, 128 ounces, I believe, is a gallon. So almost 2 gallons of water for the day. I always had water available to me. And the other thing that I utilized was Element, right? LMNT, that is the hydration drink that still allows your body to be in autophagy. Calories are super minimal, but what it does is it still allows you to get proper nutrients with sodium, potassium, and magnesium. It's a little bit funky on the stomach the second go round because I would have 2 throughout the day. I had one at about 8:30 in the morning, and then one at about 2:30. So no, I'm lying to you, George. I'm sorry. I had one first thing in the morning, so that was about 5:30, and then one again at 2:30. So I did that twice per day, and I would always walk around with either a 32 or a 40-ounce Yeti. Hold on, I need a sip. So that's that. And it says, what foods did you eat to break your fast, and at what interval? So if I'm being very honest with you, man, I read a lot about this, and I read that you should break your fast very slowly, and you should have some broths and soup, and eggs are pretty good for the fast. I remember I had chicken parm sliders and like some steak and mashed potatoes. And I will tell you this, I'm just being honest here. I was in the bathroom immediately because I guess after not eating for 5 days, your digestive tract is all jacked up. So I was actually at my great friend's house. She was barbecuing and had all this beautiful food. I was like, F this, bro. Like, I ain't eating no eggs right now. I just went 5 days. I deserved it. I earned it. So I was terrible with breaking the fast. That was definitely something that I would be different. But I would look into breaking the fast. I don't know. Do some research on like what foods are healthiest. But I do remember eggs because they're soft. I remember like chicken broth being one, and then you're supposed to, I guess, incorporate a couple more foods 4 to 6 hours throughout the day. Now, this one is interesting. It says, why did you do a 5-day fast instead of the seemingly more popular 3-day? So,
because you're an extremist.
well, you remember, I think, right? I chose to do 3 days, man. And I was actually in the booth here on a Wednesday. And I remember saying at that time, yo, man, I feel this pull to just continue. I got to the point in my fast that I was praying so much that the Spirit started talking to me, right? And again, by the Spirit, I'm talking about like little concepts and voices that I think would come and be like, yo, man, you got to do this. And it's the same voice that's in your head, all the time. So it's not like this crazy like epiphany that happened to me. But God was talking to me and told me to stay in it because 3 days was too easy. And honestly, I felt like it was too easy. I was coming up on day 3, and something in me just said, you know what? You got to go for the 5 because you have to challenge yourself a little bit more. And that's where the real work, I think, happened. Day 4 and 5 were definitely more challenging than days 1 and 2. But I stayed in it, because I believe that we can do anything that we set our minds to as long as we are setting ourselves up for success with the things around us. And also I did it with a couple friends, man. I did it with, shout out to Eddie Hueso. He was one of them. And then I think this young lady, Tia, did it with us as well. So we had a couple people that were involved in it. And was there anything you learned during the fast that would be helpful for others interested in doing the same? I think everybody should try a fast. Everybody. Because it's one of the easiest forms of discipline that you can implement in your own life. I think fasting and a cold shower are like 2 easy things because we all love food and we all need to shower. So if you can just not eat food and you can just turn the water to cold, you're in it, right? So it's easy ways to practice implementing discipline into your own life. I don't think you need to go 5 days right off the gate. I think if you can just complete a 3-day, man, that'd be awesome. CV, you got any questions in regards to the fast or any comments or anything?
Would you recommend a small fast first or the big kahuna?
No. Yeah, well, I just said
For a first timer.
For the first time. Yeah, I was just talking about a 5-day, but no, I don't recommend a 5-day.
Is there more than a 5-day? Well, I mean, I'm sure there is.
Yeah. I think they went 40 days, man, no food.
That's crazy.
I think 24s are cool too. Like just a couple 24-hour fasts here and there to get acclimated to it is not a bad idea.
Yeah, but
By any
there's
means.
no benefits from
So
that. other than-
autophagy, this is where 24 is kind of stupid. That's more like a discipline thing.
Yeah.
Autophagy happens after hour 36. So I would say at least you want to get in there for 36 because that's where you get that cell rejuvenation. And that's a cool process, man. Think about that. Have you seen any of the clips that have been viral on Instagram about how to kill cancer?
Yes.
And it's literally
It's
not
crazy.
eat.
Yeah.
It's literally not eat. But think
wild.
about this, right? So we all have millions and millions of cells. We all also have cancer cells in our body. As we're feeding those cancer cells, regular foods, it could be grilled chicken, it could be broccoli, or it could be a Big Mac. You're feeding the cancer cells. So as that cancer cell is getting food, it's getting bigger. The only way to kill cancer cells is not chemotherapy, it's starving the cells because these are active and alive. So you kill it by not feeding it. That to me is alarming.
I would assume that they starve before you starve.
The
So
cells?
so they die out
Yeah.
before
Yeah, but I think it takes us 3 weeks, they say.
of no food.
Yeah. You a little longer.
I can go for a while. I can go for a while. How often in a year should this practice be done?
I don't know. I think healthy could be quarterly.
Like 4 times a year?
I would say like 3 times. Would that be 4 times a year?
Well, quarterly?
Quarterly would be 4 times a year. But if you did a 3-day fast quarterly,
Yeah.
I think that's healthy. My goal this year, which I'm failing miserably, was to do 1 day a month fast, 1 day a month, and then a 3-day and a 5-day before the year ends. So I've already failed miserably, but what I'm going to do is make sure that I accumulate the amount of days before the year ends, so at least I accomplish some level of it. But before the year ends, I will be doing at least a 3-day fast for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be tough, man. Because what happens when you get to a point of you're hungry? What do? Just pray,
Yes.
and the hunger goes away.
Well, you pray, you sip your water, you have your element, you just don't eat. Right? So this is where I think, this is what I was saying, like, you will be so humbled by your lack of discipline. Not you, but I'm saying
I already know.
Anybody doing this.
Lunchtime comes around, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but like then also the fatigue sets in, the head fog comes, the brain fog. But what's crazy is by day like 2.5, you almost feel like you're on like Adderall, like the pill from Limitless. The brain clarity that creeps in because now your body no longer has the food source to pull from. So your energy, like it almost like bugs out and spikes. And then it kind of goes back down a little bit. But the clarity and the headaches go away after like day 2. For those who eat high carbohydrate diets, I think fasting is a little bit harder. I have carbs like on the weekends and stuff like that and through fruit, but like, with my diet, I'm not really eating carbs like that. So that's something to be conscious of because carbohydrates provide the energy for us. So then when you are so high in carbs and you get depleted of that, there's that drop off. It all makes sense, right? I think the hardest part for me was like not using supplements, bro. That was tough. No pre-workouts. You can have black coffee and still stay in your fast. No creatine after workout, no protein shake after workout, which is like my habit. Talk about triggers, right? Like after I work out, this is what I want to do because I just want to hear that because I know I'm done and I'm drinking my protein shake. So I'm not able to do that. Not able to have my Celsius in the morning and but double U's are acceptable. No sugar though.
Wait, so you have double U's?
You can.
You have in life. Just double U's, Celsius's, pre-workout.
No, that's Celsius. I use Celsius as my pre-workout.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
you don't have them all consecutively.
No, that's crazy.
Okay.
But I will rip a double U and a Celsius within the same like hour.
Oh my God.
Get going, CB. We get going. George, I hope this was helpful, man. I think we provided a lot of at least insight on the fast. No,
Yeah, I have one last question. It's not really.
you better hurry up because that double U was gone.
It's not really a fasting question.
Yep.
More so than what's a good way to wean yourself off of carbohydrates? Especially if you're a carbohydrate fiend.
Why are you weaning off? Like, what's the purpose? Fat loss? Like weight loss?
Well, no. Well, for starters, It's a good habit to not eat as many carbohydrates throughout the day, just in general, especially if you're a carb loader.
Yep.
So that's really the main thing. Not so much, weight loss is a result of it, I think. I think that's going to happen naturally, especially if you are a carb loader. But it's more so like, how do you get into the habit of not being always consuming,
Carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates.
I think education is the first step, right? Like, I think you have to be knowledgeable because, like, a lot of people just don't know how bad carbohydrates can be if you're not really like an active person. And on a base level, you eating a whole grain pasta and you having M&Ms, it's no different because carbohydrates digest and your body breaks it down as if it's sugar, the same process. So you having like an apple versus you having, a candy bar, your body doesn't necessarily know the difference, which is very interesting. Now, if you are somebody who's active and you're working out, your body utilizes that energy a little bit different than just storing it as fat. So the process is very interesting. So I think education is important, but also to the person that would want to cut the carbs, I would say, do you know how many carbs you're currently eating? Right? And I think you should go through a process of even take 3 days and like actually measure out how much you're actually consuming, because if you're in like 300 to 400 grams of carbs per day, you going to zero, that's gonna really feel like you're probably dying. So you wouldn't want to do that.
That'll
right?
feel like a fast.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to do that. But I think you want to get engaged the number that you're currently at, and then cut that by half for a couple days, so at least you can have your carbohydrates, right? But instead of eating 300, now you're at 150 grams, which is certainly manageable. But just for context, you have an apple or a banana, you're at about 30 grams right there of carbohydrates, right? So like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but you got to monitor that, right? And I think that's where the education piece comes in. So if you can cut down from 300 grams of carbs or 400 grams of carbs down to 150 to 200 for a couple days, see how you feel, then we can get down and cut it to
half.
0 to 50.
Yeah. So
And then you do
you're
that
having
process.
it way down.
Right. But then over time, your body is no longer utilizing the carbohydrates as energy. That's a process called ketosis, where you can actually measure that in your urine, right? You can pee on a stick and it can measure the ketone levels that you're at. And that tells you basically if you're high in carbs or low in carbs. Because if you have ketones in your pee, in your urine, then that means that you're depleted of carbs.
That's
right?
interesting. But that's at that level, you're talking about like no carbs at all.
Yeah. Well, but again, my level, I do carbs through fruit. But again, you have like really low carb fruits, right? Berries, anything berry, blackberry, strawberry, blueberry, anything, acai berry, I don't know, banana berry. No, you can't be making up berries out here.
But what about an acai berry? Acai, you said acai berry, yes?
I don't know about
So what
acai
about an acai bowl?
That's terrible. that is the worst thing that you could be having. That is not low
They're
carb.
so good.
I know, but it's not healthy,
With a
bro.
little cookie butter?
It's not. Oh yeah, it's not healthy. Not healthy.
All right. Well, that was very informational. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. Absolutely. So that's it. That's all we got today.
That's all we got.
Listen, guys. So we breaking that one into two? Yeah, I think so.
We can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 shorties.
2 shorties.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Well, one will be longer. This will be a shorty.
Okay. Oh man, guys, we appreciate you guys listening out. Whether you listen to one episode or 274 or 275, we are just so grateful for you. We ask that you continue to share the show, baby. The No Snooze podcast is super important to us, and it's essentially a call to attack everything that you do. We're super grateful that you're here, and we cannot wait to drop another episode next week. As always, you can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. You can buy a copy of the latest leadership playbook, 30 Lessons to Lead. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Get those carbs out your belly, baby. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.